What is up, fellow summoners? Welcome to the channel today. Thanks for stopping by. At the time of this recording, the AQ Season 4 has been live for about 5 minutes. I was kind of sitting around waiting to see that drop live so I could see exactly for myself what buffs and nodes that Dormammu was going to have. And thankfully, it doesn't look like he's got anything too crazy. He's got kind of the typical limber ability. He's got heal block, attack buffs, power gains. So all that I was expecting. His specials are unblockable, which for the S1, that's a fairly easy thing to evade. You're going to want to bait that out as much as possible. For the S2, I'm really not clear on that one because he does kind of a little animation before he actually shoots the projectiles. So I would assume if you don't get hit by that first part of the animation, you can block the actual projectiles itself. But I guess time will tell. Either way, you just don't want to push him into that. Even if you can block the projectiles, you're just taking unnecessary damage. So really, you're wanting to be baiting out the special one way or the other. This video won't be real long. I'll try to put it together and have it out before people actually fight Dormammu as the final boss. Really, if you've spent quite a bit of time facing him, maybe in Alliance Wars, this is not going to be groundbreaking to you. But for those maybe that haven't seen him a whole lot, hopefully I can help with some of his animations, how he moves, how you should be baiting out things, and hopefully have this all put together and out before anybody faces him tonight. So anyway, let's get right into it. So Dormammu reminds me very much of when we had Venom as our final boss 2 seasons ago. He's a very large character, but can be a little bit deceiving and even somewhat intimidating because of how quickly his animations appear, how quickly he kind of moves. And if you're not familiar with how to bait him out, bait out his specials, how to intercept, then once you run out of parry stuns, it can be a little bit difficult. You know, you've got an opportunity baiting out heavies and then baiting out specials. And you'll definitely be baiting out more specials because of the power gain. And there is a trick to the S1. It's not difficult to evade, but what I want to point out here is that the portal is made wherever your character is standing. And then after that, he does not port to where he made the portal, he actually ports to where you're standing as a character. So let me show you that here again in slow motion even further. He makes the portal where my character is standing, and then he's not going to port to where the portal is at. It just happens to be this way because I'm standing there. But what we have a tendency to do a lot of times is when we see the portal being made, you start swiping back, trying to get out of the way. And what that does is that gives up valuable ground and you push yourself back into a corner. So here in this example, you'll see he makes the port where I was standing at right before I evaded, but he's not going to port to that. He's going to port all the way through it to where I'm standing at as a character. So now I've swiped back unnecessarily here, and then I'm going to swipe back again to get out of the animation. So I went from all the way on the far right on his side of the map, he's pushed me all the way back to the middle. And if you're doing this constantly over and over again, especially with the number of S1s he's going to be getting, you're going to find yourself pushed back all the way back into the corner. If you do find yourself backed into a corner, don't totally freak out. You can evade the heavies if he's going to try to break your block while you're standing there. Basically, it's a two-part heavy. He lunges forward with his left, then he lunges forward with his right. And if you're quick, you can evade both of those, which that's not easy to do. It takes quite a bit of practice, but it can be done. The other part of that, if you're backed into a corner blocking, you're going to need to evade is his special 1, which that is just, in fact, that's a lot easier to evade than his heavy. But if you've got dexterity, basically, whenever he lunges forward, just evade back. The fire crap will come up through the floor, but you'll be totally untouched. Now, I'm not going to pretend like this technique, especially with the heavy, is something that you can do every single time. I've practiced quite a bit. I've only been able to do it maybe 50% of the time. Wasn't even aware that you could do it until I started this testing. But definitely go grab somebody to duel. You'll need to do that quite a bit before you ever try to do that in the actual Alliance quest itself. Now, the heavy attack when you're not backed into the corner is a little bit confusing to me because sometimes when I evade back once, I don't get hit, and sometimes when I evade back once, I do get hit. So I would say don't try messing around with just swiping back once. If you can, try to swipe back twice just to make sure that you're going to be clear every single time. If you're quick to swipe back twice, there's still enough time to come back in and to attack. I just really couldn't find a measurable, big enough difference to be able to point out the fact when you do get hit, swiping back once, and when you don't. So just be on the safe side, just swipe back twice and don't worry about it. So the S2, really you don't want to mess around with. If at all possible, don't push him into an S2. Always be baiting out the S1. But, you know, if you do push him into the S2, at most you're going to be able to evade 2 of the 3 projectiles. He lunges forward, and I'm assuming if you evade that, then the projectiles will not be unblockable. But either way, you're going to eat the first projectile. You'll be able to evade the second, and then you'll be able to evade the third, which I could not do it consistently. I show it again coming up here. He lunges forward. You'll eat the first one. You can evade the second, and then you can evade the third. The first and second one come out pretty quick, right after one another, but the third one, there's a little bit of a delay. That's why you can evade the second and third. That's just going to take a lot of practice. That's not a strategy that I probably would recommend you doing a lot of the fight. Again, trying to bait out specials, your best bet. If you have a lot of life, you're probably better off blocking the projectiles. But maybe if you're about to die and you just need to evade, you can give it a shot. But definitely go and practice before you try to do that in AQ. When it comes to boss killers for Dormammu, I think there's a couple fairly obvious choices. You've got Classic and World War II Captain America. They are excellent for AQ, not only as boss killers, but also really good for clearing lanes. Hulk, I think, probably is going to be your third best option there. Class advantage, really good damage, even a little bit of stun chance, until he becomes unstunnable. But good option. Magic and Vision as power drain, power control champs. I think that they may not be quite as useful, only because you still want to be able to bait out specials for an option to attack when you run out of parries. I think Vision of the two is going to be more valuable just because he power drains but doesn't actually power lock. So you can get back into baiting specials quicker. Quake, class advantage, also has got kind of a unique ability there with her holdback heavies to be doing some damage. I'm not really well versed in Quake, so don't look to me to give you a bunch of tips there yet, but I think she probably will be a solid champion. Rhino, I'm actually going to throw into this mix. Rhino for me I have as a 5-star. I always just throw him into my defense, but I hardly get any kills with him anymore. I feel like people are fairly comfortable and are used to playing Rhino, know how to work around him. So maybe if you're looking to replace Rhino on defense, this might be an opportunity if you're a boss killer. If that's kind of your role in AQ, to bring in Rhino if you've got him as a 5-star ranked up. Might do well. We'll see. Don't quote me on that. I'm just kind of throwing out options. A couple other characters you might have brought in, especially if you're in map 6 for Hyperion. Scarlet Witch, Dr. Voodoo, Ghost Rider, all used a lot in AQ. Probably Voodoo of the three is probably last on that list. Ghost Rider's got his Fate Seal, Power Drain, 2 Fate Seals I should say, S1 and S3, and then Power Drain. Scarlet Witch, Power Lock, Power Drain, can put weakness debuff. She still hits really hard. So, I mean, when it comes right down to it, if your cap is dead, if you're just trying to get the boss down, those are all decent characters to bring in. So hopefully, for those of you who have not played Dormammu a lot, this will have pointed out a few things that you'll need to be aware of. A couple of things maybe keep your eye out for when you're actually fighting him. As always, make sure that you go and actually find a strong Dormammu and spend quite a bit of time dueling them. Practice things here and there. Don't worry so much about winning the fight. Just focus on one thing that you want to practice on. Just keep doing that over and over until you're comfortable with it. By the end of the AQ season, I'm sure everybody will be totally fine with Dormammu, but it's also always a challenge, I should say, here at the beginning, especially if you haven't played against him a lot. Alright guys, I appreciate the support as always. Hope this is helpful for somebody out there. If you got any questions, leave them in the comments. The link to Twitter will be in the description. You can ask me questions there as well. Alright guys, until the next one, have a great day. As happy as I can be. Whoa, boom, boom, and zippity zoom.